All right, we're back with Avi Lipkin, and we're just before the inauguration of President Trump. And I want to ask you about some of his choices. He chose David Friedman as ambassador to Israel, and we've heard that Jared Kushner is going to be asked to try his hand at helping to promote peace in the Middle East. What do you think about those two appointments? What do you think?
Okay, I'm going to go out on a limb now because I love President Trump. I love what he stands for. President Trump is a businessman. President Trump is a man who has a plan, and his plan is to make America great again.
Yep.
Okay. The problem, and I'm going out on a limb, like I said, the problem with Ambassador Friedman, the problem with Jared Kushner, is that they represent a good guy way of thinking, and Trump is a good guy. The problem is you cannot make peace with the Palestinians. Period. This whole thing with the United Nations, this will help to ameliorate the situation by having the right people in Washington, the right people in the United Nations, right people as ambassadors. But the essential problem remains. Does the United States go with mammon, money? How do you make America great? You got to bring
wealth.
Wealth. And he's a businessman, and he knows how to do it. And I think that as Ambassador Friedman will be great because he speaks the language that the Israeli government speaks also. But when things come to a crunch and President Trump has to make a decision and Jared Kushner fails, not because Jared Kushner is not qualified.
Right.
You cannot make peace with the devil.
Right.
My thinking is it's oversimplistic. This is a war between God and the devil. Islam is the devil. You try to make peace with the devil, you're not going to succeed.
Yeah.
Unless you surrender to the devil, and President Trump is going to have to find a way, we say in Hebrew, to step between the drops. When it's raining, you try to step between the drops, not to get wet.
Yes.
I'm going to answer a question with a question. If the American economy will do better with billions of dollars of Arab and Islamic investments, is President Trump going to say, no, I'm with Israel, go to hell? No, he's going to have to find a way to placate the Arab and Islamic people. So somebody like Jared Kushner, who is a Jew, is an Orthodox Jew, is a Zionist, and the Muslims say, we're not going to talk to that Jew.
Yeah.
So Jared Kushner is going to be out. It's not because Jared Kushner is not qualified. It's because they want an anti-Semite. They want somebody, for example, like Kerry. Or I won't say Kerry's an anti-Semite. Kerry represents the old school of thinking, which is socialist, social democrat, in which Israel, as a religious nationalist country, is out.
Yes.
Okay? And so, what we were saying before about Putin being religious nationalist, Netanyahu being religious nationalist, Brexit is about England turning towards religiosity and nationalism.
Right.
Okay. Trump, religiosity and nationalism.
Right.
Okay. So then the question is, how does President Trump maneuver between what his heart is telling him to do, and his family is telling him, and his best advisors are telling him, and what the Arabs are saying, listen, we call the shots.
Yes.
You're going to do what we tell you. If you want us, you're going to do what we tell you.
Right.
And don't forget that there is a problem with China. In spite of whatever friendship there may be with Putin, there's a problem between Putin and Trump. So, he has to be now very careful how he starts out his administration. And don't forget, Trump is going to be stabbed in the back by demonstrators in the United States sent by Obama and all those people.
Yes,
so Trump has a very tough job now.
So you're saying the best outcome here is a decision within the administration not to force anything on Israel,
right?
And even to perhaps make it look like that work is being done, but put it on the slow burner. But so this is very interesting. Do you think then that perhaps the signaling about the embassy move? Well, so I want to ask you about these two potential things that have been talked about. One is moving the U.S. embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, and secondly, the declaration of Jerusalem as the eternal capital of Jerusalem of Israel by America. Do you think that those things are critical? Are they optional? Are they critical? And are they signs of which way Trump may be going longer term?
Absolutely. And,
which one?
Absolutely. I will say one more thing. You asked me.
You said absolutely, but which what are you answering?
What I'm saying is that why should Theresa May, why should England vote in favor of Israel if President Trump doesn't move the embassy and if he doesn't say that Jerusalem is the capital of Israel? Why should, let's say Marine Le Pen wins and France becomes nationalist and religious.
Okay.
Because if Marine Le Pen wins, France will become nationalist. Why should she support Israel if the British don't and if the Americans don't? So what is Netanyahu saying? This is domino. This is domino effect. We are now leaving the old way of thinking of the world, which is anti-religious, anti-nationalist, anti-Israel, and we are now going into a, I don't want to say Christian revival, but the whole world is, we're talking about is Christian, not Jewish. And we see a revival happening in Israel. We see a revival happening in Russia. We're going to see a revival in England. And the more the Muslims attack Christians in Europe, which is only going to increase.
Yes.
And it's going to happen in the U.S. We haven't even spoken about it. The Muslim terrorists, including the Palestinians, including the Iranians, have said, if Trump does the wrong thing, we are going to show America what we're going to do to America. So I expect also terrorist attacks on American soil.
And so you said that you're not a prophet, you're an analyst.
Right.
What does your analyst mind tell you about the likelihood of moving the embassy and the likelihood of the declaration of Jerusalem? Which one of those would be easier, for instance? Let's start with that.
Well, they go together. They go together.
You think they will come to you'll either get both of them or neither?
What could happen, but still it would infuriate the Arabs, is they might declare that West Jerusalem is the capital of Israel. But it won't be good enough for the Arabs. And I think there's going to be some kind of a showdown. And if there is some kind of a showdown with the Palestinians or with the Iranians or with all of Islam, then definitely Trump has to get closer to the Russians and the Chinese. He has to find a way to straighten things out with the Chinese. I've been saying,
in the end, do you think these things will happen?
You cannot make America great by having the Arabs, the Muslims against you, and also the Chinese. America has to choose: are we going to work economically with Russia and China, or are we going to work with the Muslims?
Are you saying the decision then is money or Israel?
Absolutely.
But do you think that Trump might have heard? I mean, there's been some reports by some famous pastors that he has some kind of faith. He's been told, he must have been told multiple times that to bless Israel is to be blessed. That
right.
it is that it's a secret for success.
Right.
Do you think he might actually believe it?
Yes.
That blessing Israel will actually in turn bless America?
Absolutely. And again, I go back to Netanyahu. He says the world is going from the old school to the new way of thinking. The Arab world, after the so-called Arab Spring in 2011, the whole Arab world is disintegrating.
Yes.
It's disintegrating. So the monolithic, powerful Islamic petrodollar is getting flushed down the toilet because Islam is a failed system. And so Trump says, we don't need this stuff. Yes. By the way, there's a country, it's not a crazy country. It's called Japan. Japan is a smart country. It has the third economy after the US and China. Islam is banned in Japan because the Japanese say it's a crazy system. We don't need it in Japan.
Yes.
Slovakia just banned Islam. Angola just banned Islam. So there are countries now that are either banning Islam or saying you cannot wear the burqa. Morocco just banned the burqa. Morocco's a Muslim country. Because the Moroccans say for security reasons, we can't allow these people to cover themselves up. We don't know if it's a terrorist. We don't know if it's a man or a woman. So you're going to see laws passed in all the countries of the world banning the burqa, especially in the Western countries. But again, Morocco is a Muslim country.
Yes.
You know what? Egypt is shutting down thousands of mosques. You know why? Because their muezzin, the broadcasters, they go off at any time of the day.
Yes.
And so this cacophony, people cannot live in Cairo anymore. People cannot sleep. People cannot have rest. Because all day, Akbar, you have thousands of minarets, thousands. So even Egypt has been closing mosques because it's a pain in the neck. We're going to see it in Israel. We're going to see it in many countries.
Well, this is somewhat encouraging, and I certainly hope, and I think many Christians have been praying for this. It will be wonderful to see. Well, it will be wonderful if it turns out like we hope, and it will be interesting no matter what. And of course, in the end, I think you also believe God will prevail, and
I'm sure
will prevail.
I'm sure God's going to prevail.
When we come back, I want to ask you about your own political aspirations. So. Hope you'll stay around and join us for our next segment. Thanks.